Got to put out the fire, sweeping back and forth. Go!
Sleeping in my bunk. Let's hear that.
Fire, fire, fire!
I just came out of the shipyard with the boat. Was on like day 3. Operations were normal.
States Coast Guard, United States Coast Guard. This is the fishing vessel Three Girls. We are on fire.
I think it was extremely successful, and I give majority of the credit to the captain of the vessel. If we hadn't gotten that immediate mayday call with a position, we wouldn't have known exactly where he was.
I'd say most of those ideas came from training like this, you know. I'm sure there's a manual for it or something, but when am I going to sit down and read that, you know?
Commercial fishermen work incredibly hard and sometimes put safety second because they're trying to make money. They're trying to run a small business. They're trying to feed us. And so these kind of trainings are really important.
All right, we got a leak. We got a leak. Somebody call in a mayday. Can I get a rag, please? Some tubing and a little shingle. What do we want to do? We want to yell. What do we need?
Fire on board, flooding on board, any kind of electrical issue, injuries on board. I mean, they do incredibly hard and dangerous work. You think about, you know, someone who works on a factory floor, an industrial athlete, while their work is incredibly important, the floor of that factory is not pitching and rolling and raining and snowing. And these men and women go out in those kind of conditions and harvest fish for our country to be fed.
They went bought brand new suits. I showed back up, and I'm good friends with the captain. And I looked at him and I laughed. I said, "Your fat ass isn't going to fit in that."
Paddle now, right paddle.
All right, go over on your back. Okay, there you go. Nice. All right, you're right.
To cut it now would be tragic, because that just means there are so many people who are going to be left behind, because to get this in the private sector, this kind of training, it costs a lot of money.
The funding that's been provided by the federal government has allowed us to train thousands of fishermen. And in the 3 years that I've been with the organization, we've gotten myriad of stories back from fishermen. We taught first aid down in Connecticut, and a month after we did that, one of the young men that we trained was underway on his boat and saw a capsized boat, responded, rescued another fellow fisherman from the water and saved his life.
Really important. We see that as surveyors all the time.
Entire federal workforce is downsizing now, so this will be a painful period for HHS as we downsize from 82,000 full-time employees to around 62,000.
Secretary of Health and Human Services announced more layoffs today. This is all part of the administration's effort for a mass reduction in force in the federal bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. to save American taxpayers money.
What we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. This is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden.
Press that nasal spray, and that is 1 full dose of Narcan. I'm going to place his hand on the ground and then put his knee over so that if Carl is feeling sick, he doesn't aspirate, doesn't choke. You guys know Russell now.
My kids, you know, oh, what happens if you don't come home? I'm coming home, don't worry about that, you know? So, and that's because of programs like this, you know? Yeah. For sure. The fact that this would go away because of money, you know, is crazy to me.
For the government is huge. If they give us this money to do this training, it's going to lessen how much money has to be spent to rescue the untrained mariner.
The fact that we can offer it free based on the funds that we're receiving is incredibly beneficial to the industry, and to lose it would be tragic.